All right, let's talk about a question that pretty much every student asks at some point. Where on earth does all my money go? We're about to pull back the curtain on 7 hidden money traps that are probably draining your bank account without you even noticing.
Okay, picture this. Your paycheck from that part-time job finally hits your account. You're feeling good, you're feeling rich for a minute, but then you blink, and 2 weeks later, it's just gone. If that sounds painfully familiar, trust me, you're in good company.
Now here's the thing. We're all conditioned to think that being broke is just an income problem. Like, if I just made more money, I'd be fine. But what if the real problem isn't how much you're making, but these sneaky, invisible traps you're falling into every single day?
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to expose those little everyday spending habits that are bleeding you dry. Then, we'll dive into the real cost of debt, and after that, we'll tackle the powerful mindset and social traps that keep us stuck. And most importantly, we'll wrap it all up with a real actionable plan to get you on the path to financial freedom. Okay, let's kick things off with the everyday spending traps. You've probably heard that old saying, small leaks sink the ship. Well, when it comes to your finances, that is absolutely true. And this is really the heart of the issue, isn't it? A few bucks here for a coffee, a few more for a snack from the vending machine. It just doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment. But the way it all adds up, it's kind of shocking. Let's take the classic example, right? That fancy coffee you grab on the way to class. $5 a day. It feels like a small, totally justifiable treat to power through that lecture. But, and this is the crazy part, look what happens when you zoom out. That small $5 a day habit explodes into almost $1,700 over the course of a year. Suddenly that little treat doesn't feel so little anymore, does it? And of course, it's never just the coffee. You throw in buying lunch a few times a week because you didn't have time to pack one, plus a couple of streaming subscriptions, and suddenly you're looking at over $3,000 a year just vanishing. That's money that could be a huge help with tuition or savings or chipping away at debt.
So, why are our brains like this? Well, there's a name for it. It's called present bias. Our brains are literally hardwired to want the reward right now, that warm, tasty coffee, way more than they value some abstract future reward like, having a healthy savings account.
And that desire for now leads us right into our next big topic, debt. These are the traps that are specifically designed to keep you paying and paying for years longer than you ever have to.
Check this out. The difference between being stuck in debt forever and breaking free can be way smaller than you think. On a $10,000 loan, just paying an extra $50 a month, that's it, can cut 5 whole years off your repayment time and save you $2,000 in interest. That's huge. And the reason this minimum payment trap is so effective is because of a little trick our brains play on us called debt myopia. We see that small, manageable monthly payment and we think, oh, I can handle that. But what our brain conveniently ignores is the mountain of interest that's piling up in the background. And oh man, those buy now, pay later apps, they are absolute pros at using this against you. They use a technique called mental accounting. By splitting a $100 purchase into 4 easy payments of $25, your brain only registers the small expense. It doesn't feel like you're committing to $100, which makes it dangerously easy to overspend and get slammed with late fees. And then you've got the granddaddy of them all, the credit card trap. That $500 gadget you bought, if you only ever pay the minimum, you could end up handing over an extra $180 just in interest. That's literally throwing money away for nothing. Okay, but it's not just about the numbers and the math. Some of the biggest, most powerful traps are actually inside our own heads and in our social circles. You ever get that feeling like you have to keep up with your friends? Going to the same dinners, buying the same stuff? Well, just spending an extra $50 a week trying to match their lifestyle adds up to $2,400 a year. It's like a silent killer for your budget. This is all driven by something called social comparison bias. We see what everyone else is doing and buying on Instagram or in real life, and we subconsciously start to think of that as the baseline, as normal. And that causes our own spending to creep up and up without us even noticing. And what about that little buzz you get from an impulse buy? That's not just in your head. It's actual brain chemistry. Your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical, giving you a temporary high. The problem is, it's almost always followed by the low of very real financial stress. And this brings us to maybe the biggest mindset trap of all, the belief that I don't have enough money to invest. But just look at this. The magic of compound interest is real. Investing just $50 a month could grow to over $23,000 in 20 years.
It proves that starting early is so much more important than starting big.
Okay, so we've spent a lot of time identifying all these traps. Now for the most important part, how do we actually escape? Let's walk through your plan to break this cycle for good.
Here it is, your 5-step escape plan. It's simpler than you think. Number 1, track your spending. You can't fix what you can't see. Number 2, always pay more than the minimum on your debts. Even an extra $20 helps. 3, use the 24-hour rule for any purchase that isn't a necessity. It helps kill that impulse. 4, figure out what you actually value and spend your money there, not on keeping up with others. And 5, automate small investments. Set it and forget it. Consistency beats amount every time.
When you really boil it all down, it comes to this simple, powerful equation. The knowledge of these traps, which you have now, combined with taking consistent action, that is what equals real financial freedom.
And remember, the goal here isn't about restriction or making you feel guilty about buying a coffee. It's about being empowered. It's about being in control. The small, conscious choices you make today will create massive freedom and opportunities for you later on. You absolutely can do this.
So, let's make this real. Of all the things we just talked about, which ones hit home for you? I want you to think about it right now. Which 2 traps are you going to commit to breaking starting this week? Your journey begins with that first decision.